Hi, I'm Becca, and this is my husband, Gabe.
That's me.
Welcome to the podcast celebrating Jack Russell Terrier dogs.
And all the joys of companionship with canines of every kind.
Each week, we'll explore all the heartfelt, humbling, and hilarious stories that only dog parents can truly relate to. We're Jack Russell parents. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, puppy parents, wherever and whenever you might be.
Happy Adopt a Shelter Dog Month.
Yes, if you've been thinking about adopting a pup in need, now's the perfect time to do so. Well, actually, any time is the perfect time to save a pup. But this month is dedicated to doing so.
Yeah, so get out there and increase your family size.
Responsibly, of course. If you have the time and means to love on a puppy or puppies properly.
Speaking of someone who loves animals, I'm super excited about today's guest.
Me too. Ladies and gentlemen, get ready for today's special guest, specializing in animal photography, the human-animal bond, and conservation-themed fine art photography. Her work has been exhibited around the world and has been featured in National Geographic, Time, People, the New York Times, Oprah.com, and Popular Photography, just to name a few. She's published 11 gorgeous photography books featuring animals ranging from dogs to birds of prey and even an amiable hamster. Puppy parents, join us in welcoming Trere Scott.
Hello.
So obviously you're an incredible photographer, and a lot of what you photographed is animals. So when did your love for animals begin?
I don't even remember when, because I don't ever remember a time when I wasn't obsessed with dogs and pretty much every animal. I grew up with a lot of creatures.
Yeah.
We had the standard dog, cat, birds. My mom also worked as a volunteer curator at a natural history museum in North Carolina. At that time, there wasn't a lot of organized animal, like wildlife rehab. So we ended up with a lot of wild creatures convalescing in our home. You know, snakes and a screech owl and a flying squirrel. And so there were always a lot of creatures around. And I just grew up really intensely loving them and really relating, I think, probably more certainly to my dogs and to animals in general than I did to other kids.
Yeah.
Every time I see those memes about I'm always the one that's talking to the dog at the party, I'm like, yeah,
that was me.
Yeah,
Still is me. Still is me.
Oh, man. So in the portfolio section of your website, TrereScott.com, I loved the study of a hound, where you highlighted the individual features of Felix, the Spanish Podenco,
yes.
Using your gorgeous photography. So what is your favorite feature of a dog?
Depends on the dog. Oh, there's just so much to love about a dog. There's a trend going on TikTok and Reels right now called Toe Beans, and it's set to Jolene, which is such a great song. And this song, it's talking about the little pads on the paws being toe beans, and you can push on them and love on them. And I mean, one of my dogs, he's just got the cutest little butt, and my other dog has just the cutest and most wonderful ears that I love to snuggle, and I love their little toe beans. And there's just so much to love about any dog. And with Study of a Hound, it was cool to try to do photographs of each part of him and highlight all of the beauty that comes together anatomically to make a dog.
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah.
And your birds of prey section too is, wow, just intense.
Mm-hmm.
They're just so majestic, and you feel the power of these birds of prey when you photograph them so well like you did.
Thank you. It was a real honor, actually, to be able to photograph all of those raptors so intimately. And there's a really kind of ancient vibe going on with raptors that like they know something that we forgot thousands of years ago, and they're really powerful creatures in many ways.
Yeah, that's a beautiful way to put it. There is so much going on in their eyes and in their demeanor, their aura, whatever you want to call that. Yeah.
Yes.
Back really quickly to Felix. Is Felix your dog or?
So Felix came to us from an incredible organization called Galgos del Sol, who brings over Podencos from Spain, rescuing them, basically dogs that have been abandoned, abused, completely mistreated in Spain, where they're used perennially as hunting dogs. And then generally discarded, sometimes killed in horrible ways. It's really awful what happens to these beautiful dogs. And Galgos del Sol works to rescue as many of them as they can, and they ship a lot of them to the United States because there's so many people here who want to adopt them. So Felix came to us from Spain, and he ended up being kind of a foster dog. We had him for about 6 weeks. When he came into our house, he'd never been in a house before.
Oh.
So he jumped up on the dining room table. We taught him some manners, hopefully, and how to behave in a home. And he was a super sweet dog. He just didn't have any, manners.
Yeah.
And then he actually ended up going to live with one of the key members of Galgos del Sol, actually. And he lived out his life in New Hampshire on a beautiful property with other Podencos. And he recently passed away, which was only, I think, about a month or two ago. And he was only 9, I think. It's really sad. He was a beautiful, sweet dog, and it was an honor for us to have him even briefly. And I'm glad he came through our lives.
That must have been so difficult to have him for such a short time and then to lose him after all he had overcome. I'm just so glad that he had you to care for him during that time.
You can find Galgos del Sol at Galgos del Sol. That's GALGOSDELSOL.org, and to support their amazing work. And it's also at Galgos del Sol on Instagram.
Incredible organization doing a lot of good work. So yes, check them out.
Wonderful. I'm so glad you shared that with us. So now let's get a little bit back to the photography. Tell us about your journey into animal photography, where you came from and where you're going.
I actually became kind of obsessed with photography when I was a kid, and I don't think it ever went away. It didn't really occur to me that it could be a career, I think, until I was in college. That's when I decided, I think when I was 19, that I was going to officially pursue photography. And I never planned to be an animal photographer. I don't think I knew that I could do that. And at that time in particular, there was a lot of prejudice in the art world against animals as subjects. They just weren't viewed as serious subject matter. And I think that when most people 20 years ago thought of animal photography, they thought of, what we have now as cat memes and things like that.
Right.
So it never even occurred to me that there could be something different. So it took a while for me to unlearn, I think, what I had been taught by traditional art world and photographic society at that point. My early work was very different, and it all tried to incorporate animals, but it was very forced and superficial, and lots of models and costumes, and
Right.
it was like early stabs, but they just weren't sincere. They say in photography, as in writing, photograph what you know. And when I started making what became Shelter Dogs, that was the first time that I was really photographing what I knew, what was immediate and urgent in my life. And that came through in the work. Shelter Dogs at the beginning was really just this little side project that I had started as a means of catharsis, because I was so devastated by the number of dogs that I had worked with at the shelter that I volunteered at who had been euthanized, who I had lost. And I needed a way to remember them and memorialize them and hopefully make their death count for something by reaching out to other people. And so I began this little project and hoped it would become a book, but that wasn't in my ability at that time. I was a new photographer with really no track record, no publishing track record. We photographers tend to live their lives at portfolio reviews, meeting publishers and decision makers and gallery owners and things like that. And I was at a really good one, and I met with a wonderful woman, and she looked at my work and she said, "Well, it's lovely, but I just don't know what to do with it. Do you have anything else?"
Oh.
And I had these little printouts of these dogs that I had been taking photos of at the shelter. And I showed her those. And that became Shelter Dogs, like on the spot. She decided to give me a book.
Awesome.
And that was my first book deal, which was incredible.
It's a beautiful book.
Yes.
Thank you. I mean, it is now out of print, but that will lead into why Finding Home exists and also a new one coming out. Yeah, Shelter Dogs came out in 2006, and it was supposed to be this kind of little art book. I mean, I got paid almost nothing to do it. It was
Yeah.
like pittance, and I didn't care. I was so excited,
Sure.
it's like, I have a book, oh my God. And I was just also so happy about being able to know that something I really deeply cared about, a message that I really cared about, was actually going to get a platform.
Right.
And the book came out. It was supposed to be this very small print run, couple thousand copies, just this nice little art book, and it blew up.
Yay.
And this was really before things had the capacity to go viral in the way that we know it now. But,
Right.
within the week that it came out, I had a feature in Life magazine. I was on the CBS morning show.
Oh,
There were these crazy
goodness.
things happening.
Exciting.
And this was my first book. So this was, kind of overnight, everything changed.
Mhm.
And so that book was very, very successful and reached a lot of people. And after that, I was on the track to make more animal books, because I had an audience, I had a publisher willing to give me more book deals. I had more things that I wanted to talk about, more issues to address. And
Yeah.
so the next book I made was Street Dogs, and then Wild Horses. And then it just started to slowly become my identity. I think I found my tribe,
Yeah.
and I found my real voice in photography.
That's incredible. This is a little side question. I know that a lot of your pictures are from other places. So tell us a little bit about your travels. How do you find these great animals to photograph?
Well, I will preface this by saying that I think my goal in life, and my goal as a photographer, certainly when I was younger, I think my measure of success was, if I can get paid to travel and take photos, then I have succeeded.
Right.
That was my goal in life. And it's a good goal, frankly. And it's still, it's still something that every time I get to do it, I'm like, wow, this is great.
Yeah.
I'm an avid traveler, and I've fortunately gotten to do it a lot. And I've been very lucky that my work has taken me all over the world. Street Dogs, I had spent about 6 months actually traveling in Mexico and Puerto Rico
Okay.
to get those photos. And that was really the first time that I was traveling for work, making a very documentary oriented body of work about dogs. That was pretty important for me. Again, any chance I get to travel to make photos, it's a good day.
Absolutely.
So, in honor of Adopt a Shelter Dog Month, and we've talked about shelter dogs, and you mentioned Finding Home, Shelter Dogs and Their Stories, which is kind of like a sequel.
Mhm.
Can you tell us what's one of the stories that has really touched your heart of all these dogs that you've met? One that sticks with you?
Oh gosh, there's so many. Shelter Dogs is very Spartan. There's very little text. It's really just photos and the name of the dog. And that was really great for what it was. And with Finding Home, I wanted to have more information because I could get more information, because my situation was different. I wasn't volunteering on the front lines anymore. I was coming in as a photographer, more as a documentarian, rather than when I made Shelter Dogs. I was a desperate volunteer trying to place dogs, trying to save them, trying to keep them from dying,
Yeah.
And Finding Home was great. I had people helping me, and wranglers, and people keeping information about dogs and keeping all of their stories. And then I just finished what is kind of going to be the third book in that series, which is called Forever Home. And it will be out in the spring. And that takes it to another level, in that it's actually called Forever Home: Inspiring Tales of Rescue Dogs.
That's lovely.
So it's all in color.
Oh.
There are 30 stories in it, and they're much longer stories, and they're real, complete, really incredible stories of 30 dogs and their journey through so many things. There's puppy mill rescues, there's fight bus dogs,
Wow.
there's hospice fosters, there's just so many different aspects of animal welfare represented in that book. And I'm really, really excited about it.
We're definitely going to have you back for a follow-up interview
We
when that one comes
can.
out in the spring.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would love to tell a story that, let's see. So there's a dog named Bingley that is in Finding Home. Bingley was this big, goofy, derpy pit bull. His journey was incredible. So he was basically seized in a drug bust.
Oh, wow.
There were gunshots fired. He was in close range to the gun. He went deaf because of the gunshots fired.
Oh, wow.
He went to a municipal shelter, which is where any seized animal is going to go, like City Pound, but I hate to call it that. They have so many animals that they really couldn't give him any personalized attention. And everybody just thought he was very aloof and didn't like people. And in fact, he was deaf and was newly deaf. So he had no idea what was going on. And he was just kind of shocked. And so he didn't engage well with people because he couldn't hear anything. Unfortunately, after he had been there like a couple months, a worker from a private shelter came in because they periodically take dogs, transfer from a high volume shelter to a private where they can hopefully find them homes. And she realized pretty quickly that he was deaf. So she took him back to a private shelter here and began to work with him and taught him hand signals. He came alive. It was just the sweetest dog.
Yeah.
Individualized attention, which so many high volume shelters just can't provide. And it's not their fault. They're dealing with huge numbers.
Right.
And they're usually understaffed and underfunded. So Bingley became this she named him Sir Bingley after Jane Austen's character.
Yeah.
He became, just this beloved dog, everybody's favorite, every volunteer's favorite. And everyone loved him, but nobody wanted to adopt him. He sat there for months and months and he got lots of love and he got lots of training. And he was having a good life, but he needed a home. Finally, a family came in and they fell in love with him. He was the right fit for them. And Bingley went home. Everybody was it was such a huge celebration for the staff and the volunteers. And I think it's such an incredible reward when people put so much of their heart into an animal.
Yeah.
And there was a couple there who were volunteers who had really wanted to adopt him, but they couldn't have dogs where they lived at that point. And they were really, really struggling because they wanted him so badly. So when he was finally adopted, they were really relieved. They thought, okay, he found his forever home. That's great. Everybody was happy. All was well. Until 6 months, 8 months later, maybe, Bingley came back.
Oh, no.
The family had gone through this divorce and there was a lot of ugliness. And he this time was crushed. He was really depressed.
Guy.
He didn't want to eat, didn't want to play, didn't want to move, nothing. And the staff was kind of heartbroken because when you have a dog come back, it's sad.
Yeah.
I think it's always disappointing because you had sort of pinned your hopes that they had found their forever home.
Yeah.
Again, they begin working with him and they love on him and he slowly perks up a little bit. But again, nobody wants to adopt him. And what ended up happening is so remarkable. The volunteer couple who had wanted him so badly in the beginning, when he was returned, they kind of said, you know what, this is a sign.
Yeah.
So they dumped their apartment, got a new one that allowed dogs.
Oh.
And they adopted him and they took him home. I visited him there a couple of times. And I mean, that was his destiny, and he's just super happy and fat and derpy and loving life. I think so many shelter dogs, I don't know if people realize, I don't know that I realized. And so I started tracking all these stories of how many homes a lot of these dogs end up having in their lives.
That's so hard. Yeah.
It's a lot sometimes.
Rebecca's over there crying.
I know. You can't see me, but I'm tearing up. I love it. I mean, I love that he found his forever home with that couple. That's so sweet.
Yeah, it was a bit of destiny there.
Yeah.
We don't even know how many homes he had before he was seized by police the first time.
Right.
A lot of these dogs have had a long journey.
Absolutely. Yes. Aloha Mama Apparel wants to spread the spirit of aloha. Genesis Belote, the creator of Aloha Mama Apparel, was born on the mainland and resides in Southern California. But she cherishes her Hawaiian culture and honors the half of her family that lives on the island. She loves being a mama and a designer. At Aloha Mama, they know being a mama is hard work, but it's the best work. That's why they style mamas and kiddos in apparel that is bright and filled with beachy vibes. For the cutest casual attire celebrating the spirit of aloha, go to shopalohamama.com. That's shop, ALOHAMAMA.com. Shopalohamama.com. Hey everyone, we're back with the animal-loving, super talented photographer, Trare Scott.
And so you have all this experience in terms of like meeting so many different animals, and with your travels, you also get to do a lot of speaking engagements, advocating for animals. So what are you currently doing in that arena?
I do. I love giving talks. There has not been much of that in the past couple of years because of COVID, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
And I was actually supposed to, right now, as we speak, be in New Mexico doing a series of events. And that also just got rescheduled because of COVID.
Oh,
That, for example, was at a university, and I was going to be giving a couple different talks. One about my work, specifically about finding home and the dog stories and just my work with dogs in general. And then the second talk was going to be a more intimate thing, actually, with shelter workers at a particular organization there, working with them on how to take better photos of the dogs and other animals that come through their shelter. Because obviously now more than ever, I mean, a good photo of a homeless animal can mean the difference between, I mean, adoption and not adoption, and in some cases, life or death.
yeah.
If they're in a situation where animals are euthanized for space.
Mm.
The good part is that I think it's easier now more than ever to take a good photo because everyone has an iPhone.
Yeah.
The bad news is I think that good photos of homeless animals are more important than ever.
Right.
So I was going to get to help them hone their skills on how to create better photographs of the animals. So I have a number of different topics that I speak on, and pretty much all of them revolve around animals in some way.
Mm-hmm.
I love when I get to speak and travel and meet new people. It's wonderful.
Yeah. So up to this point, the works that we've talked about, your beautiful photography, these things that you advocate for are so amazing, right? I feel like they're deep topics, just incredible things that people can get behind. But I also love that there is this other side of you that makes me laugh. So your newest unbelievably cute book features a hamster.
Yes.
And is called Goodbye Salad Days. Kevin Faces Adulthood. So please take us behind the scenes of that hilariousness.
Oh, man.
Oh, I would love to. I am so proud of Goodbye Salad Days because it is a complete departure from anything I've ever done, for one thing. And
Yeah.
it was also really, really hard to make. So these are handmade dioramas
Wow.
that myself and my husband made. And in a lot of the case, I made a lot of the items in the diorama, miniatures and paintings and
Yeah.
all kinds of things. So these are handmade dioramas featuring a hamster named Kevin. And Kevin is a millennial navigating the end of youth and the onset of whatever comes next. And
Oh.
he's struggling a little bit. He's dealing with all of the usual stuff, dating and pressure to get married and have kids and dead end job. And he's just having a bit of an existential crisis.
Yeah, the book description describes it so well. It says, Goodbye Salad Days tells the story of Kevin, a regular hamster in a familiar quarter-life crisis. Kevin's got his own hamster-sized home,
Right.
hamster-sized furniture, and the soul-crushing societal expectation to do adulthood right.
There you go.
We're going to buy numerous copies and
I'm
we're
like,
going to give them out.
This is the
at
best Christmas gift ever.
Thank you.
It's so
I think so. Yes.
hilarious.
I mean, it's really fun and it's funny. And it's also, I think it's something that most people can relate to.
Yes.
Because he's really struggling with adulting and I still struggle with adulting and I'm really way too old to struggle with it.
Yeah, us too.
Well, these are valid concerns. These are things that they're mundane on the surface, but they're really legitimate things that we stress about all day, every day. And it's a great way to look at these things in the face of a hamster and just have a good laugh at the situation and ourselves.
Yeah, it lightens it up a bit.
That is exactly what it's meant to do. And it was amazing to make. It was actually really, really challenging to make. Hamsters are wonderful. They don't really take direction all that well. So that was a learning curve.
Yeah, we grew up with hamsters, and so that's why this book really touches my heart. And they are unpredictable, and they don't ever stay still.
No,
They're like Jack Russells that way. Oh man.
Yes, They're so fast and they're constantly moving. And I actually adore them. I mean, they are fascinating. And there's a little mini essay at the back of Goodbye Salad Days, just kind of talking about the inception and hamsters in general, and how I really dislike that they're characterized as starter pets. And
Oh, yeah.
because they're very soulful little creatures and they require a fair bit of care. And they're really fascinating when you get to know them, what they can do, and watching them stuff things in their cheek pouches and their instincts and they're just clever and fun and just really just charming.
Absolutely. So I just want to say, I mean, all of these photos are absolutely hilarious, but I think the one that touches my heart the most is the one where he's playing a keyboard. And it says, Kevin doesn't know what happened, but he's pretty sure he used to be cool. Maybe it's time to get the band back together. And it's just so funny because I feel like maybe there was a time I used to be cool way back when. Not anymore.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I think a lot of us feel that way. And he, how many guys have I known or you know of, or not just guys, but it is a stereotypically male thing, I guess, of like, I got to get the band back together. That'll make me cool again, So it was just poking fun, I think, at, when all of us reach a point where we kind of remember that we were cool, but it's really out of reach.
Oh, man, I love it. Well, I could just keep talking to you forever, but I think we'll put a little bow on it there. But we do have one final, what we like to call a zoomy round of questions.
Love it.
That we're just going to do them fast, and you tell us the first thing that comes into your mind.
Okay.
So first, what is your spirit animal?
A wolf.
Nice.
Croissants or muffins?
Croissants.
Pasta with red sauce or white sauce?
Red.
If animals could speak human, which animal would be the best conversationalist?
Absolutely dogs.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Pineapple on pizza, yay or nay?
Nay.
There was a lot of history in that tone.
There's a lot of feeling in there. If you could photograph any historical figure, who would it be?
Oh, that's a good one.
That's a tough one.
If I could photograph any historical figure, oh my God. Jane Austen.
Awesome.
Lovely. Okay, well, that's it. That's a quick round.
That's fun. I wish there were more.
To answer.
Well, tell us about the wolf. Why are you a wolf?
Oh, yeah.
We're big Harry Potter fans, my daughter and I. And so we talk about Patronuses a fair amount, which are kind of like spirit animals. I think just because I'm so obsessed with dogs and I feel like I understand dogs more than probably any other being in the world, I feel like that I would relate to the wolf, but also I guess, I don't know. I think I see myself as a little bit of a hunter in certain respects.
You got a wild edge to you.
Yeah.
I can relate to the wolf
quite
a bit, but I have no idea if anybody else would agree with that at all. So.
Rebecca is an owl and I'm a beaver, apparently.
Well, I told him that, but he probably feels differently.
I'd be interested to ask my husband and my daughter what they think I am, because sometimes I feel like a sloth is my spirit animal.
Yeah. Awesome.
Oh, man.
Well, when I say I'm a hunter, I don't mean literally hunting
animals.
Of course. I just want to clarify that.
Not animals.
Well, you do have to hunt down a great photo in a sense, right? And
well, that's the thing. Photographers are hunters in a sense. Mm-hmm. And photographing has all of these terms, that you're shooting. There's a lot of like gun imagery and which I don't love that, but
that's true. Never thought about that.
There is a bit of hunting in photography, absolutely. And I always feel like I'm hanging out at the edge of the woods watching. I'm watching what everybody's doing and waiting for that moment to strike. And strike is just to pick up the camera, but it's kind of easy to I think equate yourself perhaps to a sort of stealth animal. Maybe that's giving myself way too much credit because wolves are amazing. But
the difference between like the perfect photograph and an okay photograph, it could be a split second.
Absolutely.
And so, it's an intense bit of work. we enjoyed so much talking to you today.
This was so much fun.
Thank you. And we really look forward to the third dog book,
Yes,
so to speak, in your
Yes.
series and next spring. And we would love to have you back.
I would love that.
It has been an absolute pleasure talking with Trere Scott. She brings so much knowledge and compassion to the animal world. We look forward to seeing what she creates next. You can connect with her and get her beautiful books and prints at TrereScott.com. That's TrereScott.com. Or on Instagram at Trere_Scott.
Hey, everyone, don't go anywhere because it's time for Insta Dog of the Week. This week, we have an adorable yet buff little Jack Russell Terrier mix named Gizmo.
Yeah. You can find Gizmo on Instagram at Gizmo the Jack Staff. That's Gizmo the Jack Staff, Staff. So let's check out his bio. What is Gizmo up to?
He's up to some craziness.
Oh my
goodness.
goodness. He was born May 7th, 2016. He is a Jack Russell cross with a Staffy. Gabe, tell me about a Staffy.
It's the Staffordshire Bull Terrier.
Oh, okay.
Okay, yeah. So
Gotcha.
it looks like a miniature pit bull with terrier ears, basically. Pit bull. That's
He-
why he's all buffed out.
Adorable. I mean, you can't get enough of him. Looks like his owner's name is Robin, and he is from Gloucestershire.
No.
Nope. You gotta
we
cut
looked
this.
this up.
Gloucestershire.
Gloucester. Like
That's
glossy.
it. Gloucester. Where's the Shire?
Well, he's from Gloucester in Gloucestershire. In Gloucestershire. And look, listen. Oh, I have the headphones on. You can't hear.
I'm all.
Why is it not playing?
Gloucester,
But what's the Shire part?
Gloucestershire,
Gloucestershire. Okay. He's from Gloucestershire in the UK. His bio also says that Gizmo is making friends all around the world.
Yep.
And I hope you're still friends with us after we did that to the name.
Of your town.
We love you in the UK, y'all. So, Gizmo, he is just adorable. He looks like a very sweet, loving, playful little guy. There is a lot of pictures of him tucked in, which I love because, you know, like my brother sends me pictures of his Luna. What is she? A French bulldog tucked in all the time. And I just love that because to me, that means you're a good puppy parent. You're getting your puppy all tucked in and snuggled up. So sweet.
He loves the outdoors. He's outdoors a lot, enjoying the fine British weather.
He loves to go. Oh my goodness. This one is so cute. Hold on. This is him bounding through a creek. And these are action shots, folks. And that's him. There's 3 photos in this grouping. And at the end, it's him and his other buddy, apparently, that he was in the creek as well. And they're just sitting on the edge all wet. They made it across the creek.
So, yeah, fun fact about Gizmo. He doesn't like rainy days, but he loves jumping in the water and getting all muddy. So he's an enigma.
Yeah.
There's layers and complexity to that beautiful little face.
This actually says, my second day at doggy daycare, I found my confidence to swim. I had so much fun meeting new friends again, and I'm sleeping all evening now. So he was exhausted after his time of play.
Yeah. Carson sleeps for hours and hours after a short trip, even to the vet.
Yeah. And I think that he also has this blue sweater, which cracks me up because it's like a hoodie.
Oh, yeah. It gets a little chilly there.
Yep. And so he's got his blue sweater and he's even wearing it and she's got him propped up like he's driving the boat.
So what's your favorite photo? It's hard to choose.
Oh, it's always hard. I think it's this one. They're on some sort of hike and it's an action shot. She does a good job of capturing him in motion. And he's running and his ears that are usually flopped are straight up in the air. and his tongue is out. And his feet are off the ground. I mean,
nice. He's
it's
running.
pure joy.
Pure joy.
What's your favorite game?
Oh man, I love the one where he's standing on a post and you see the beautiful countryside behind him. It's just like a gorgeous shot in and of itself, and he just looks so happy in that photo. But I also like the one that's like 2 photos later where he looks all sad, and it says, "Mummy came home to lots of sick, poorly Gizmo, lots of rest, cuddles, and boiled rice and chicken to help Gizmo feel better." He doesn't feel good in that photo, but he has those puppy dog eyes going really strong, so he looks adorable.
He is so cute. So be sure to add Gizmo, the Jack Staff, to your Insta scroll. You are just gonna love this little muscular Jack Staff. Be sure to celebrate Adopt a Shelter Dog Month any way you can. Give monetarily to a shelter, volunteer your time, purchase Trare's Finding Home, Shelter Dogs and Their Stories, or even bring a sweet pup home to love. Whichever way you choose to celebrate, we hope you and your fur babies have a spectacular October. Did you enjoy this episode? Did you learn from the content? Or did you just have a good, relatable laugh? Well, now what? It's time to subscribe, follow, keep listening, and give a positive review on the Apple Podcast app. Then share the podcast with other puppy parents. This will allow us to connect you and your friends with fun, dog-loving content week after week. Until next time, this is Becca and Gabe, the Jack Russell parents.
Say bye, Carson.
We'd love to connect with you online at jackrussellparents.com or on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at JRT Podcasts. That's at JRT for Jack Russell Terrier Podcast.
The Jack Russell Parents Podcast is produced by Earball Audio.
Jack Russell Parents is brought to you in part by Super Chewer. From the makers of BarkBox, Super Chewer is a themed monthly delivery of toys and treats made especially for dogs who play harder and demand a challenge. Simply go to jackrussellparents.com and click the Super Chewer link to enjoy their great offers while also supporting our podcast.